how do you keep such an active social life?
Well, it's important that you reach out because you can't sit home and wait for people to call you. And I really learned that from you. After Ken died and I had nothing on my calendar, you said to me, call somebody so you have something on your calendar. And that was such good advice, Mel. And so I stay active. If somebody doesn't call me, or if I want to have a dinner party and nothing's going on, then I create a dinner party. And, you know, more and more as you read about longevity, it used to be the Mediterranean diet, exercise. But now, the more I read, social is becoming first. Then comes the diet and the exercise. Because I think being lonely or being by yourself causes depression. And it also, you start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
When you're around people, you get built up. People tell you look attractive or they want to be with you. And so you feel good about yourself.
You know, it's interesting. You have always made an effort. How long have you been a widow?
19 years this year.
19 years?
This year.
Ken's been gone 19 years?
Is that right? 206? 06?
Holy cow. That close. I mean, that's incredible.
I know.
And I remember that you always made an effort and always kept up and always reached out and always were planning things. And, you know, that advice that I gave you about putting something in the calendar was just this thing that I've always felt, which is when I look at a blank calendar, I feel like a loser. I start to spiral, as you said. I start to panic like I don't have anything to do. And then I start to feel like everybody's got plans but me. And so making an effort to have something in the calendar that you can look forward to, even if it's 2 weeks from now.
Exactly.
Like helps you from that spiral. But you recently moved to a community where there's a lot of programming and it's more of a retirement community. What has been the difference that you've seen in putting yourself in a community where the whole point of it is to be with people that are retired and that are older and to be in a community where there's stuff going on?
Well, first of all, you know, as my grandchildren call me, it's a FOMO.
Yes, you have FOMO.
And I am a FOMO. And when my friends started moving to this community,
Yeah.
I mean, after a dinner party with one of my friends, and she said she was going, I woke up the next morning and I said, I'm coming.
Well, I think a lot of people look at those retirement communities, are like, oh, I don't want to know.
Oh, no.
Don't put me in one of those. And I watched my grandmother, when my grandfather died, move into one. And all of a sudden it was like retirement camp. I couldn't believe how busy she was and happy she was. And
yeah.
so what have you noticed as somebody who was actually already crazy busy?
First of all, there's so much to choose from to do physically. I mean, they have pickleball on grass. Now, is that brilliant? Why don't more people have pickleball on grass? But anyway, it's also a great feeling of security because I have a lot of friends that live around me, and I've met people. When I moved in the second day, I had orchids that were delivered from, across the street. She walked across the street. Hi, my name's Mary, blah, blah, blah. If I didn't come out of my house for 4 or 5 hours, somebody would come and check on me.
Wow.
That's how it feels. Living here now in your house,
yes,
on 25 acres.
Where you used to live.
Where I used to live. I mean, I could have been here for days. And where I used to live in Florida, even though I lived in a community,
yeah,
everybody did their own business, I could have been flat out for a couple of days and no one would have known the difference.
Right.
It's very different when you're in a community like I'm in now.
What advice do you have for keeping friendships so strong?
Reaching out to them. And I do think that the older you get, the more you realize the people you really want to be with. So you don't feel compelled if, Mary invites you for dinner and Mary's okay, but she's not one of your favorites.
Right.
I used to say, okay, sure, I'll come. Now I don't,
How come?
because I don't want to feel that I have to have Mary back to my house.
Oh.
I mean, I have some wonderful friends, and those are the people I want to spend the most time with. And I have a lot of friends.
So are you saying that the older that you get, if you can not fill your calendar with the obligatory
Exactly.
things, but take that same time and be intentional
Quality.
about picking up the phone and calling people, whether it's family or it's people that you really, really love hanging out
Right.
with, that's going to keep them strong.
I mean, I used to have dinner parties all the time for 8, 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now 6 is like the perfect number.
Why is 6 people over the perfect number?
Because 6 really talk to each other all together.
Mm.
You know, you don't have 2 people talking over here and 2 over here. So by the end of the evening, you really feel so satisfied because you've really been with these people.
It's true. It's true.
You know?
So you've had a lot of adventure in your life. And I think there's a lot of questions that people have about it. Can you talk about what you did after your husband, Ken, died? Because I think this is advice that is relevant not only when you lose somebody that you love, but also if you go through a divorce or you have some major change that happens in your life that makes you start to wonder who you are or what your next chapter is going to be. So why don't you tell everybody what you did and how it changed your life after Ken died?
Well, the first thing I did was I rented an apartment for 3 months in New York. Oh my God. It was so lonely because you realize that when you're in New York City and everybody's going one place or another and you have no place to go.
Mm.
So I signed up for art classes at the Art Students League.
Okay.
So I had a reason to go someplace and come home or go to the movies. And then I took myself on a bike trip to New Zealand. So I was with other people.
You know, one way that you've stayed active, Jude, is you plan these trips, like bike trips with guides and with friends, like through your 70s and 80s.
You just have to make yourself be around other people. You can't stay home and feel sorry for yourself because nobody else is feeling sorry for you.
Can you tell us a little bit about why, especially after Ken died, you started spending your winters in Cambodia and volunteering there?
Well, I went there on a bike trip.
Yep. But this is where it gets interesting. You decide that the next year you're going to go back to Cambodia. And you created an experience on your own where you reached out to an elementary school and you arranged to become a tutor to teach English to elementary school students.
And I just said, you know, I'm going to come back and teach English. Even though I wasn't a teacher, I knew how to talk. And the other thing that I learned and asked was how to make a fool out of yourself. If you can make a fool out of yourself, you can teach English even though you've never been a teacher.
And then you reached out to this NGO, Cambodian Living Arts, to say you'd like to get involved. And you get on a plane and you fly to Cambodia and you're in your late 70s and you've never done anything like this before and you're going to live there. What was it like to land in a foreign country knowing you were going to live there? Because everybody that knew you were like, you're crazy. What if something happens? What if you have a heart attack? You're going to be halfway across the world. You're going to do this on your own. How's this going to work? I mean, were you ever scared? Like, did you land and go, what the hell am I doing?
I don't think I was scared. I think I was excited. I love adventure. I love new things. And I mean, what else was I going to do? Stay at home? It's just, this was something different and new. And it wasn't real hardship. I mean, I was staying in a hotel. It's not like I was camping out in the streets.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, but I just want to say that it took some balls to do
did.
something like that.
It did.
It takes a lot to get on a plane and fly halfway around the world and just go, I'm going to go live in Cambodia for 3 months and I'm going to create my own volunteer program. And I'm going to just do that and not really know anybody. And I'm going to figure it out. And then next thing you know, you have a whole community there.
Well, you know, it's so interesting that you asked this question because actually I put this down in a journal the other day. I think I had a very difficult childhood, and it gave me courage that I would not have had if my childhood had been all roses. So I only went 2 years to college, and there wasn't any money to send me beyond that. And I even, when I was writing my journal, I questioned how I did it. I just moved into Chicago at age 19 and got a job at American Airlines answering phones. And then after I was there for a while, I went upstairs and interviewed to the number one advertising agency at the time and got a job as a receptionist. And then when I was there, I decided I'd go to secretarial school. And then after a year there, I decided to move to San Francisco. So, you know, when I was in high school, they had only boy cheerleaders for 100 years. I decided we should have girls. I somehow got the petition going and we had girl cheerleaders. And from then on, New Trier High Schools had girl cheerleaders. So I've always been pushing myself into something that's a little scary.
I love that. I think we all need a little of that.
Call push. Just a little push.
Yeah, a little JJ, go get her.
Yeah.
JJ!
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're back. You went skydiving for the first time at the age of 80. You got your first tattoo at 85.
I know.
Now that you're 86, what is your exact workout and movement routine?
Oh, well, I walk every day, 4 miles anyhow.